Have you ever walked into a house that looks absolutely beautiful? The furniture is elegant, the lighting is well thought out, the layout is functional. And yet, the moment you step inside, something feels strangely off. You can't explain it, but the space feels heavy, maybe a little too quiet. You feel like your shoulders are carrying weight, or as if your mind is less clear, less light than before you entered. That's not your imagination. And no, it's not about the interior design style or whether the room follows the latest Pinterest trend. It could be the color of the walls, because in both ancient Feng Shui and Buddhist energy wisdom, color is never just decorative, it's vibrational. It communicates with your subconscious. And most importantly, it either supports or disrupts the energy flowing through your life. Now imagine this, you've poured your savings into creating a dream home. You carefully selected flooring, lighting, countertops, furniture. But the wrong choice in the wall color, just one choice, could be the reason you constantly feel blocked, drained, or emotionally unsettled in your own home. This isn't superstition, it's energetic architecture, and it's more common than you think. Welcome back to New Day Mindfulness, where we explore how to bring harmony into your home, clarity into your mind, and gentle wisdom into your daily life through ancient principles adapted for modern living. Today, we're diving into a topic that's subtle, powerful, and often overlooked, the energy of color. We'll uncover 7 common house paint colors that may look harmless, even stylish, but could quietly drain your prosperity, stir up conflict in your relationships, or make your home feel like a place you want to escape from rather than return to. But don't worry, I'm not just here to warn you. I'll also share 5 colors that are believed to support prosperity, peace, emotional clarity, and spiritual flow. Colors that align with Feng Shui principles and Buddhist environmental awareness. Now, before we go deeper, I'd like to ask for your support. I've been building this channel from a place of love and service, drawing from years of study in Feng Shui, Buddhist home philosophy, and environmental healing, to share practical, calming content that truly benefits your life. If this kind of wisdom feels valuable to you, if you've ever found peace in one of our videos, or if you'd like to help this channel reach 1,000 followers so we can bring even more high-quality teachings, visual guides, and inspiring stories into your home, then please take just a second to click that like button, share this video with someone who needs it, and subscribe. It might seem like a small act, but it makes a huge difference, not just to this channel, but to the ripple of mindful content on this platform. Thank you, truly. All right, let's talk about what's really happening when your house feels heavy, or your career stalls for no clear reason, or when family arguments seem to rise out of nowhere for no logical cause. It's easy to blame work stress, life pressures, or fatigue. But what if the walls of your home, the very color surrounding you day and night, were contributing to that disharmony? You see, color doesn't just influence mood. It shapes the flow of qi, life energy, within your space. And when that flow is blocked, slowed, or overwhelmed by certain energetic frequencies, it doesn't just affect how your home looks. It affects how you think, how you feel, how your finances move, how your sleep regenerates, and even how your family interacts. There are colors that overabsorb energy, like deep blacks and browns. Colors that may feel grounding, but when used excessively, start to weigh on the psyche and spirit like silent fog. Then there are colors that overstimulate the mind and nervous system, like bright reds, colors that trigger restlessness, impulsiveness, and tension, especially when placed in the wrong room. There are colors that might feel trendy, like ash gray or cold whites, but in reality they dampen joy, distance emotions, and lower connection if not carefully balanced with warmth. These are the things no one talks about when choosing paint. But if you've been following New Day Mindfulness, you know we're not here to give you generic advice. We're here to look deeper at the energy, the symbolism, and the subtle forces that influence our day-to-day lives. So today I'll walk you through these 7 paint colors, why they might be harming your space, and how to recognize the early warning signs that something is energetically off. And more importantly, I'll give you 5 safe, prosperous, and harmonizing color options that you can begin integrating. Whether you're repainting your home, setting up a new office, or simply refreshing a bedroom that hasn't felt right in years. Stick with me until the end, because I'll also be answering a few common viewer questions, like, what color should I paint my main door if my house faces north? Or, I have too much white in my apartment. What can I do without repainting everything? And now, let's begin with the first color on our list. The one most people assume adds elegance, but could actually be silently weighing down your entire household. Section 1, 7 colors to avoid. 1. Deep black. Absorbs too much energy. In Feng Shui, black belongs to the water element. It represents depth, introspection, and wisdom. But its richness comes with intensity. And when that intensity dominates a space, it may not work in your favor. While black can add sophistication and grounding energy to a room, it's also one of the most energetically absorbing colors you can use. Unlike other hues that reflect light and movement, black absorbs nearly everything. And in a home environment, that can have a lasting influence on your energy. When black is used in small doses, it can be grounding and elegant. It draws attention to architectural details. A black-framed window, a black front door, or cabinetry with black accents can look intentional, bold, and refined. However, once black becomes a primary wall color, the mood of the space changes, often drastically. Because of how black absorbs light, it can make spaces feel more enclosed, denser, and heavier. In rooms that already lack natural light, black walls can amplify that darkness and create a compressed or stagnant atmosphere. This energetic compression doesn't just affect how a room looks. It influences how people behave and feel inside that space. A room that's too dark can feel mentally stifling. Residents may find themselves lacking motivation, experiencing lower energy levels, or losing interest in things they used to enjoy. Whether or not they consciously connect it to the wall color, the environment begins to weigh on them. Conversations in black-heavy spaces may feel more serious or strained. Creative work becomes harder. Focus is harder to sustain. People might even find themselves sleeping more but waking up less refreshed. The weight of the space becomes internalized. In Feng Shui, balance is everything. Black, being deeply yin in nature, is cool, still, and inward. If the home already lacks movement, either due to layout or lighting, black will amplify that stillness. A stagnant space leads to stagnant life force. Residents may feel stuck in their career or personal life, unsure how to move forward. Opportunities may seem to pass them by. It's not always dramatic. Sometimes it's just a subtle delay. Calls don't get returned. Plans fall through. You work harder, but results come slower. Now, black can still be used well. The key is intention and proportion. If you feel drawn to black, ask yourself where and why. For example, using black on a front door in the north direction of the home is often considered auspicious in Feng Shui. It welcomes water energy, which is associated with abundance and flow. However, if you extend that same black throughout your living room walls, ceiling beams, and hallway corners, you may find the space becoming less inviting over time. It might look modern, but the energetic cost is high. Pairing black with the right contrasting colors is essential. Soft white trims, natural wood floors, or metallic accents like gold and brass can lift the energy and prevent the space from feeling overly saturated. Natural light is your best ally when working with black. If your space gets abundant daylight, black can be a dramatic, even artistic choice when balanced with greenery or organic textures. But in a dark room, or worse, a windowless one, black walls can become a visual and energetic void. When black is used in home offices, it's important to consider its influence on productivity. While some people claim it helps with focus, others report feeling mentally slower or creatively blocked. If you want to bring black into a workspace, it's often better to use it in furniture, shelving, or accents rather than as a dominant color. Even a matte black desk can feel heavy after long hours. Pair it with a lighter wall color or open shelving that introduces more visual breathing space. Bedrooms are another area where black should be used with care. While some believe black helps with deep sleep, the overall tone it sets can be too introspective. In romantic partnerships, A black bedroom may reduce warmth or emotional openness over time. Couples may find themselves communicating less or simply feeling more emotionally distant without knowing why. In single-person bedrooms, black can create a retreat-like mood, but it can also increase a sense of loneliness or spiritual disconnection, especially if the room lacks color, texture, or variety in materials. Entryways painted in black can create a dramatic first impression, but they also signal the kind of energy you're bringing into the space. In small entryways with little lighting, black may feel like a visual barrier rather than a welcoming presence. If black is used here, it's helpful to incorporate a mirror, warm lighting, or art that adds movement and softness to the energy. Black floors, especially dark wood or tiles, are another rising trend. While they're elegant and minimal, they tend to pull down energy in the room, especially in rooms where the ceiling is low. The result can be a compressed vertical space that doesn't feel breathable. Rugs in lighter tones or area carpets with natural patterns can help reduce that downward pull and create a better energetic balance. People often choose black because it's associated with elegance, simplicity, or minimalism. But when you choose black without understanding its energetic role, you risk decorating a home that feels beautiful but doesn't feel good. It's like buying shoes that look great but hurt when you walk in them. In homes where a lot of black is already present, the solution doesn't always have to be repainting. You can balance it with other elements. Introduce earth tones like tan, beige, or terracotta to stabilize. Add wood textures for growth energy. Use mirrors to reflect light. Bring in live plants to lift the energy. Even a few soft elements, pillows, curtains, wall hangings, can make a big difference in balancing a black-heavy space. Lighting is perhaps the most underestimated companion of black. Soft, warm lighting can transform a room painted in black from oppressive to intimate. Cold, blue-toned lights do the opposite. They increase the sterility and distance of the space. Where possible, choose lighting that mimics natural warmth. Dimmers are also useful, giving you more control over how the energy feels throughout the day. In families with children or older adults, black can be difficult to manage. Kids benefit from brightness and stimulation. Black dampens that natural energy. Elders may already feel isolated or slowed down by age. Black in the environment may intensify those feelings. For households with a wide age range, it's best to use black sparingly and only in areas that don't serve as primary gathering or sleeping spaces. Black can also have symbolic meaning depending on the cultural context. In Western aesthetics, it's often associated with sophistication, formality, and high design. But Feng Shui views every color as an energetic statement, not a fashion choice. If you're using black because it's trendy, consider whether that trend actually supports the emotional and energetic life you want in your home. And finally, the finish of black paint matters. Matte black absorbs more energy than satin or semi-gloss. The flatter the finish, the more the color disappears into the walls, and the more energy it absorbs from your space. If you love the look of black but want less absorption, consider using a sheen finish or incorporating texture. A black shiplap wall or brick-style surface can bring dimension while still preserving the grounding effect. In summary, black has a place in mindful home design, but only when used with wisdom, restraint, and a clear understanding of how it interacts with the elements of your space. It's a powerful color. Treat it like fire or water, with respect, balance, and intention. 2. Dark green stuck in comfort zones. Dark green carries with it the energy of still forests, deep valleys, and shaded canopies. It's a color rooted in nature, stability, and growth. In small doses, dark green is calming and grounding. It can invoke trust, security, and connection to the earth. But when overused, especially on large surfaces like walls, ceilings, or cabinetry, it begins to carry a different energetic signature. Instead of growth, it can invoke inertia. Instead of peace, it can bring about a lingering dullness. When not paired with movement or light, dark green tends to make a space feel closed off, emotionally dense, and stuck in place. In Feng Shui, green represents the wood element, which symbolizes development, expansion, and vitality. It is often associated with beginnings, inspiration, and upward energy, like young sprouts reaching for sunlight. But once green shifts from bright and soft to dark and saturated, its energy slows. Deep forest greens, olive tones, or dark emeralds begin to lose their upward movement and instead become heavy. This isn't necessarily bad, but it needs to be used with a precise understanding of balance. When a room is covered in dark green from floor to ceiling, the effect is often immediate. The space becomes quiet, almost contemplative, but not always in a good way. People often describe it as safe or cozy, but over time, it can tip into emotional passivity. It's like wrapping yourself in a warm blanket and forgetting to get up. When motivation is needed, whether for work, creativity, parenting, or decision-making, dark green doesn't give the lift. It creates a cocoon, a shell, a retreat from the outside world. And while that may sound comforting in theory, in practice, it often causes energetic stagnation. Unlike lighter greens, which promote growth and curiosity, dark green tends to encourage routines, predictability, and a fear of stepping outside the known. In creative workspaces, this is particularly noticeable. Writers may experience writer's block. Designers may second-guess themselves. Teachers or consultants may find their presentations feel flat. It's not just the wall color, it's the energy of the environment slowly slowing down thought and flow. Instead of cultivating ideas, dark green walls begin to hold them in, creating a mental atmosphere of caution rather than boldness. In the home, dark green works best when balanced by contrast. It needs natural light, reflective surfaces, or organic elements to feel alive. In a room that already lacks brightness, such as an interior hallway, a basement, or a north-facing office, dark green can act like a sponge, soaking up all momentum and leaving a space that feels visually and energetically flat. Residents might not recognize it right away, but over time, they may notice they've stopped updating their goals, starting new projects, or feeling inspired to change routines. If your home already has dark green paint in multiple rooms, watch how you feel after being in those rooms for extended periods. Do you feel clear and focused? Or do you feel emotionally settled, but not in an energizing way? Are you avoiding tasks, putting off decisions, spending more time in that room than necessary, even when you know there are things you should be doing elsewhere? In Feng Shui, color is not just about how something looks. It's about what it encourages. A color like dark green, when used in the right place, encourages introspection and calm. But when used in excess or in the wrong setting, it can become a trap. The energy starts to loop inward. Instead of forward motion, it creates an emotional cul-de-sac, familiar but not empowering. To work with dark green effectively, start by treating it as an accent, not a foundation. This means limiting it to one wall, a set of shelves, or a piece of furniture. Dark green throw pillows, rugs, or curtains can bring the earthiness and grounding you want without overpowering the space. You can also use dark green in transitional spaces, like foyers or small reading nooks, where temporary stillness is welcome but not dominating the entire home's energy. Another effective way to bring dark green into balance is through pairing. When used with light wood tones, gold fixtures, or soft cream colors, dark green becomes a backdrop rather than a force. Think of it like nature. A forest is beautiful because of the light filtering through the trees, not just the trees themselves. That same principle applies in interior design. Dark green without highlights becomes dense. With light, it becomes dimensional. In spiritual terms, green is often linked to the heart chakra, the center of love, compassion, and connection. A muted green can support emotional balance, but a darkened green without warmth or movement may reflect emotional withdrawal or a tendency to stay safe. In households where individuals already struggle with burnout, lack of motivation, or decision fatigue, rooms painted in dark green can reinforce those emotional patterns. Consider how the people in your home respond to green spaces. Are they drawn to those rooms, or do they avoid them? Do conversations flow freely in those areas, or do they feel more subdued? Do children play openly, or does the room feel too serious? These are subtle indicators of whether the color is supporting the life force of the space, or inadvertently holding it back. If you're currently planning a paint project and considering dark green, start small. Try painting just a portion of a room, such as the lower half of a wall beneath a chair rail or the back of a bookshelf. Observe how the energy shifts. See how the space feels at different times of day under natural and artificial lighting. Dark green behaves differently under warm light versus cool light. In the wrong lighting, it may appear gray or muddy. Under warmer light, it can glow with richness and depth. Lighting transforms how the brain and body respond to color, so test before you commit. Even more importantly, pair the use of dark green with movement. Introduce textures, fabrics, plants, and circular shapes. Use artwork with vibrant colors to add contrast and narrative. Break the stillness with visual cues that suggest flow, such as curved furniture, soft drapes, or upward-growing plants like snake plants or bamboo. These additions will help counteract the weight of stillnesses that dark green tends to settle into when left unchecked. Color, like all things in the home, is most powerful when it's chosen consciously. If dark green speaks to you, listen, but also ask, what am I hoping to invite with this? Is it reflection, grounding, safety? And is that what I truly need in this space? Or would a lighter tone of green, such as sage or mint, offer a similar emotional benefit without the energetic drag? In homes that already have a strong wood element, lots of furniture, houseplants, and vertical structures, adding dark green can overwhelm the environment. It's important to remember that even within an element like wood, not all expressions are the same. A leafy fig plant and a dark green wall don't bring the same frequency. One encourages life, the other absorbs it. You want energy that breathes and renews, not that settles and sleeps. Some homeowners are drawn to dark green because of trends, magazine spreads, or luxury interiors. But what looks rich and moody in a photo shoot doesn't always feel supportive in real life. Design inspiration should always be tempered with energetic intuition. You might love a shade in theory, but if it dampens your drive, it's not worth the aesthetic win. When it comes to mindful home design, color is a living participant. Dark green may bring elegance and a sense of quiet, but it must be used carefully and sparingly to avoid creating emotional or motivational stagnation. Use it when you want to create pause, not when you want to create progress. If you find yourself clinging to routine, avoiding change, or settling into just okay, take a look at your surroundings. The color of your space may be influencing your willingness to grow. And if your walls are dark green, it may be time to reintroduce a little more light, more air, and a little more color that says forward. 3. Ash gray, energetically neutral, emotionally cold. Ash gray is a color that many homeowners are drawn to for its minimalism, neutrality, and versatility. It's often seen as a safe, stylish backdrop, something that matches everything, fits any design era, and makes a home look clean and modern. Interior design magazines love it. Pinterest boards are filled with it. And in commercial real estate, it's almost the default shade for new builds. But in Feng Shui-informed living, gray, especially in its ash or cool variants, is far more than a design choice. It is an energy moderator, a tone that exists on the fine line between balance and lifelessness. And when ash gray becomes the dominant voice in your space, its quietness can turn into emotional distance. Its subtlety can become a subtle drain. Let's start with how ash gray functions visually. It is a highly desaturated color, usually created from a mix of black and white with blue undertones. This composition gives it a cold, almost metallic energy, especially under cool lighting. In natural light, it can appear sophisticated and serene, but under low or artificial light, it flattens the space. It mutes contrasts. It subdues warmth. And in doing so, it can create an atmosphere that is orderly but emotionally disconnected. People often describe rooms painted in ash gray as calm, quiet, or neutral. But if you ask them how long they enjoy staying in those rooms, or whether they feel energized afterward, the answers are less consistent. Ash gray has a tendency to blur emotional engagement. It doesn't provoke negativity, but it rarely sparks joy either. It exists in the in-between, and for people who are sensitive to environmental energies, that neutrality can feel like emotional absence. In practice, this shows up in subtle ways. A couple may notice they sit farther apart on the couch than they used to. Conversations may become shorter, more functional, less animated. A child may choose to play in a smaller, brighter corner of the home, rather than in the expansive gray-painted playroom. Meals may feel less lively in a dining room surrounded by gray, especially when paired with cold-tone lighting and metal finishes. None of this happens overnight. Gray doesn't attack the energy in your home, it erodes it slowly. The effect is cumulative. A little gray, balanced with other textures, works beautifully. But when gray dominates, the home can begin to feel like it's in emotional hibernation. Not chaotic, not hostile, but muted. And over time, that mutedness becomes a kind of energetic silence that spreads through the home. From an energetic flow perspective, ash gray slows down movement. It creates a pause. This can be useful in certain spaces, such as a library, a meditation nook, or a hallway where you want to create a moment of calm transition. But in areas where life is meant to move, like kitchens, creative studios, or family rooms, gray can dampen spontaneity. It tells your subconscious, stay still, don't stir things up. For some, this is soothing. For others, it becomes a subtle block to creative or relational energy. This impact is most noticeable during the colder months, or in homes that lack natural light. When the sky is gray and the walls are gray, the energetic field inside the house begins to mimic the mood of an overcast day. People tend to sleep longer, speak less, or disengage from activities. While this isn't always negative, it may be part of a needed seasonal rest cycle. It's important to notice whether it supports or suppresses your emotional and mental state. Another aspect to consider is the visual temperature of ash gray. In color theory, every tone leans toward warm or cool. Ash gray leans heavily cool, especially when it has blue or silver undertones. Cool tones recede visually and energetically. That means they can make a room feel more spacious, but also more distant. When too many cool tones are layered, Oshaward, gray walls, white furniture, silver fixtures, cool tone floors, the effect becomes impersonal. The space looks tidy, but feels sterile. It lacks the nourishing quality that makes a house feel like a home. Ash gray also has a way of influencing time perception. Rooms painted entirely in gray can make people feel like time is passing more slowly. It's a subtle psychological shift, but one that can be felt in routines. Tasks may take longer. Motivation to start something may decrease. People may feel more tired without knowing why. It's not a loud fatigue, it's a soft, almost ambient sense of not being fully present or engaged. This is especially relevant for work-from-home professionals. A home office painted in ash gray might look sleek and professional in video calls, but if the person using that space feels uninspired, disengaged, or creatively stuck, the wall color could be a silent contributor. Over time, productivity may drop, not because of lack of skill or time, but because the space no longer supports energetic engagement. Ash gray bedrooms can also be a challenge. While gray is often marketed as restful and conducive to sleep, its emotional neutrality can sometimes translate into emotional disconnect. Couples may notice a drop in intimacy, not because of conflict, but because the space doesn't invite closeness. Individuals may experience disrupted sleep patterns, low morning energy, or difficulty maintaining evening routines. A bedroom should be a place of recovery and connection. If gray is draining that potential, it's time to reassess. Bathrooms painted in ash gray may look luxurious in design catalogs, but in real life they often feel cold. Paired with tile and chrome, the overall effect can be unwelcoming. This matters more than most people realize. Bathrooms are not just functional, they're transition spaces between public and private, external and internal. The energy you absorb in a bathroom carries into your day. If that space feels emotionally flat, it may subtly shape your emotional tone. So how can ash gray be used successfully? The key is layering and contrast. Gray loves company. It pairs beautifully with warmth, wood, leather, textiles, warm metal tones, and organic patterns. A gray wall behind a caramel sofa with rust-colored pillows can feel balanced and alive. A gray kitchen with warm underlighting and brass fixtures feels grounded and modern. But gray without contrast becomes a void. Lighting is also essential. Natural light softens gray's coolness. Warm tone bulbs and accent lighting add dimension. Gray rooms that rely on overhead fluorescence often feel clinical. Swapping out the lighting can change the entire energy of the space, even if the walls stay gray. Another approach is to break up the wall plane. A room with all gray walls, ceiling, and flooring becomes monochrome. But a single white accent wall, a wood-paneled surface, or even open shelving can add rhythm and movement back into the space. The goal is not to remove gray, but to give it companions that energize and define the space. Rugs, curtains, plants, and artwork are powerful antidotes to gray's potential dullness. A plant with glossy green leaves immediately adds life. A woven rug introduces pattern and warmth. Art becomes more vivid against a gray wall, but only if the gray isn't swallowing the light. In fact, gray is a fantastic backdrop for color, as long as that color has space to breathe. Ultimately, ash gray is a tool. Like all tools, it can be useful or limiting depending on how it's applied. If your intention is to create a sanctuary, a meditative zone, or a space that quiets the mind, gray may serve you well if balanced. But if your goal is to create connection, motivation, or creative spark, gray must be handled with care. Too much gray and the spark becomes a slow burn. Eventually, it might flicker out altogether. As you evaluate the presence of ash gray in your home, consider its effect not just on your eyes, but on your energy. Notice what you tend to do in that space. Reflect on whether it supports your goals, your habits, and your relationships. If it doesn't, the solution might not be drastic. Sometimes all it takes is a touch of color, a change in lighting, or the introduction of warmth to restore harmony. Bright red, overactive and agitating. Bright red is a color that demands attention. It is bold, fiery, and unmistakably alive. In the world of color symbolism, red is often associated with passion, energy, courage, and celebration. In Feng Shui, it is connected to the fire element, symbolizing expansion, recognition, intensity, and movement. But as with fire in nature, when it spreads too far or too widely, it stops being a source of warmth and starts becoming a source of destruction. When used thoughtfully, red can be powerful. It has the capacity to ignite motivation, stir ambition, and raise the energetic temperature of a space. But when used without awareness, especially in large quantities, red can create an emotional imbalance, overstimulation, and even disharmony within the household. Let's first look at how red behaves visually. It is the most intense hue on the color spectrum. It advances toward the eye faster than any other color, which is why red is commonly used for warning signs, stoplights, and sale tags. It is nearly impossible to ignore. On a wall, that same intensity applies. A red-painted room is visually active, even when no one is inside. It shouts, even when you're looking for quiet. It's always on. And that level of visual energy can be difficult to live with long-term. People often choose red because they associate it with prosperity, luck, or status, especially in cultures where red is seen as an auspicious color. In many Asian traditions, red is used for celebrations, marriages, and offerings. In Feng Shui, red is used to activate energy in key areas of the home, such as the fame and reputation area, typically located at the back middle of the home, according to the Bagua map. But it is important to note that red is traditionally used as an enhancer, not a foundation. It was never meant to be a color that dominates an entire space. In modern homes, painting an entire room in bright red often backfires. The space becomes hyper-stimulated. People who spend time there may begin to feel more anxious, irritable, or emotionally reactive, sometimes without realizing why. If you've ever been in a red dining room and noticed conversations getting louder, faster, or more competitive, that's red's energetic influence. It raises the internal temperature, both physically and emotionally. This effect is especially noticeable in households with multiple people. In rooms with red walls, especially living rooms or family spaces, disagreements can escalate more quickly. Patience tends to run thinner. Children may act out more often. Adults may experience shorter tempers or difficulty relaxing after work. Even pets can become more restless in red-dominant environments. From an energy flow perspective, red accelerates. That's helpful when you need momentum, like getting started on a new goal, launching a business, or hosting a party. But in a domestic setting, you rarely want constant acceleration. You need flow, rest, and balance. Red in large doses disrupts those patterns. It keeps energy levels high, even when you want them to settle. That's why red bedrooms often cause trouble with sleep. The color keeps the nervous system alert, making it harder to unwind, fall asleep, or stay in deep rest. Even if the room is darkened at night, the psychological memory of the color lingers. In financial terms, red's impact can be risky. While some believe red attracts wealth, the truth is more nuanced. Red stirs action, sometimes impulsive action. People living in homes with large amounts of red may feel more driven to spend, invest, or pursue opportunities, but without the patience or clarity to evaluate long-term outcomes. The result is more risk-taking, more pressure, and often more mistakes. For entrepreneurs or business owners, this can manifest as chasing the next big opportunity without grounding, leading to burnout or financial missteps. In family life, red can also affect how people relate to each other emotionally. Passion may increase, but so can conflict. Red fuels emotional extremes. People may love harder, argue louder, and fluctuate more rapidly between emotional highs and lows. Over time, this constant stimulation can lead to fatigue, not just physically, but relationally. It becomes harder to maintain peace or find emotional steadiness in a space that constantly feels on fire. So how can red be used successfully in the home? The key is moderation. Red should be seen as a highlight, not a base. It works best when used to draw attention to a feature, set a tone for a small space, or energize a specific area. A classic example is the red front door. In Feng Shui, a red door, especially one facing south, is considered powerful. It signals welcome, protection, and vibrancy. It draws good energy toward the home, but that same energy, if brought inside and spread across all the living room walls, can quickly tip from inviting to overwhelming. Another ideal use is in artwork, textiles, or accessories. A red pillow on a neutral sofa, a red vase on a wooden shelf, or a red frame around a mirror can activate energy without dominating the entire visual field. These touches can be changed, adjusted, or removed seasonally, allowing the energy in your space to remain dynamic. Red is also suitable in spaces where temporary alertness is desirable. A home gym, for example, may benefit from a red accent wall to promote energy during workouts. A kitchen can support red if it needs a boost in vitality, especially if the rest of the house is cool or monochromatic. Even then, it's best to pair red with grounding elements like wood or earth tones to avoid overstimulation. Lighting plays a critical role in how red feels in a space. Under natural daylight, red looks vibrant. Under artificial lighting, especially fluorescent or pulled LED, it can appear aggressive or even harsh. If you use red in any area of the home, make sure the lighting is soft, warm, and adjustable. That way, the intensity can be dialed down when needed. It's also important to pair red with materials that soften its edge. Natural fibers, wood textures, and matte finishes help reduce the glare of red. If everything in the room is glossy, metallic, or synthetic, red becomes too loud, too aggressive. By surrounding red with earthier elements, its energy becomes more supportive and less disruptive. Finally, red is a color that should be considered in relation to the person who inhabits the space. Some people thrive with fire energy. They feel energized, expressive, and bold when surrounded by red. Others find it exhausting, triggering, or even suffocating. There is no universal right or wrong. It depends on your personal constitution, your lifestyle, your sensitivities, and the balance you need. For those living with anxiety, high stress, or emotional volatility, red should be limited. It often heightens the exact feelings they are trying to soothe. For those who feel stuck, low in energy, or invisible, red might offer the activation they need, but only as a short-term intervention, not a permanent environment. A helpful approach is to cycle red in and out of your space as needed. During times when you want to boost productivity, confidence, or visibility, bring in red through art, accessories, or small furniture. When you're seeking recovery, gentleness, or healing, replace red with more neutral or grounding colors like soft green, beige, or warm brown. In mindful home design, every color is a conversation. Red speaks loudly, and it speaks fast. The question is, are you listening? And is that the voice you want in your most personal, intimate environment? Used with care, red can uplift, protect, and inspire. Used carelessly, it can unsettle, agitate, and overwhelm. In spaces where harmony and restoration matter, it's best to keep red in its rightful place, as a vibrant accent, not the dominant theme. 5. Pure white. Looks clean, feels empty. Pure white is a color often praised for its simplicity, cleanliness, and ability to brighten a space. It's the go-to for modern homes, minimalist interiors, and staged properties. Real estate professionals often recommend it for resale value. Interior designers love it because it makes rooms look bigger and more open. And for homeowners, it seems like a safe, neutral choice that will go with anything. But from an energy perspective, especially one informed by Feng Shui and traditional Buddhist awareness, pure white is not nearly as passive as people assume. It may be visually quiet, but it speaks volumes on a vibrational level. And when used excessively, white has the potential to create emotional distance, energetic hollowness, and even long-term stagnation. Let's begin with what makes pure white so appealing. It reflects the most light. In smaller homes or spaces with limited natural lighting, white walls can appear to expand the boundaries of a room. White can make ceilings feel higher, corners less closed, and windows brighter. But in the process of creating this sense of openness, white often wipes away the character of the space. It acts like a blank canvas, not just visually, but energetically. And when that canvas remains empty for too long, the result is not serenity, it's sterility. Pure white doesn't invite in warmth unless it's deliberately balanced. In Feng Shui, white is associated with the metal element, which governs precision, clarity, and structure. When used in appropriate areas, this can bring about efficiency and focus. But metal also represents detachment and coldness when in excess. A house dominated by pure white walls, floors, ceilings, and cabinetry may look modern, but may feel like it's missing something essential: soul, warmth, intimacy. In spaces where people gather, like living rooms, dining rooms, or family dens, white as the dominant color often reduces the emotional temperature. People may act more formally, speak more carefully, or feel less spontaneous in their interactions. Conversation becomes more surface level. The space appears polished, but not inviting. Guests may compliment how clean or modern the room feels, but they may not linger. Children may play in other rooms instead. Even pets tend to avoid white spaces, sensing the lack of grounding energy. One of the biggest misunderstandings about white is that it's a color of peace in small amounts or when paired with warmth. That's true. But pure white in large doses does not soothe the nervous system. It stimulates it, just differently than red. In bright, all-white rooms, the light bounces aggressively. Without soft textures or grounding color elements, this overstimulation can cause subtle unease, restlessness, or fatigue. The body doesn't know where to rest. The eyes never find a place to settle. This is especially evident in bedrooms painted entirely in pure white. While the intention may be to create calm or order, many people find that white bedrooms disrupt their ability to fall into deep, restorative sleep. The space feels bright even when the lights are dimmed. The absence of contrast makes the environment feel unfinished, like something is always missing. For couples, white bedrooms can reduce emotional warmth or intimacy. For single individuals, they may feel too exposed or even lonely over time. White kitchens also present challenges. While they look clean, they don't always feel nourishing. Food is best prepared in environments that feel alive, grounded, and connected to the earth. A pure white kitchen can feel more like a showroom than a source of family care. Cooking may begin to feel like a sacrum rather than a ritual. People may grab meals on the go rather than linger over home-cooked meals. The space becomes practical but less heart-centered. In Buddhist-influenced space design, we often observe how a color encourages or discourages presence. Pure white, when dominant, encourages detachment. It removes visual complexity. It reduces emotional texture. In meditation halls, white might be used to support clarity. But even then, it is rarely used in isolation. Natural wood, soft cushions, and warm-tone lighting are added to keep the energy balanced. A white-only environment is too austere for most people's emotional and psychological needs. Another issue with pure white is its reaction to time and wear. Unlike other colors that soften with age, white often becomes dull or discolored. Walls take on a grayish tint, scuffs and stains become more noticeable. This can lead homeowners to feel frustrated or constantly on edge about maintaining the clean look. Instead of peace, white brings pressure. Instead of relaxation, it creates an internal narrative of needing to control the environment and environment. This tension adds up, especially in busy homes or those with young children, pets, or guests. If you live in a colder climate, the impact of white walls may be even more pronounced. During the winter months, white reflects the gray of the outside world and amplifies the feeling of emotional coldness indoors. People in these homes may experience a stronger desire to leave or escape, even when there's nowhere to go. Seasonal affective symptoms can become more intense, even if light is abundant, simply because the space doesn't offer warmth or emotional containment. So what's the alternative? It's not about avoiding white altogether, it's about using it mindfully. White is best treated as a supporting actor, not the star. It can frame other colors beautifully. It can lighten a space that might otherwise feel too heavy. It can offer contrast when paired with warmer tones. But white needs texture, contrast, and depth to work well in a lived-in space. One of the most effective ways to offset the emptiness of white is to bring in elements from the earth and fire elements. Earth tones, beige, clay, terracotta, warm browns, add weight and comfort to a white space. Fire tones, deep red, warm orange, muted gold, add passion, expression, and movement. Together, they warm the coolness of white without overpowering its simplicity. You can also introduce warmth through materials. A white wall with wood-framed art feels different than one with stainless steel. A white kitchen with butcher block counters feels different than one with quartz and chrome. Linen curtains, cotton throws, and wool rugs all help white spaces breathe. Even something as small as warm lighting, candles, or pottery can change the emotional tone of a room instantly. In homes where white is already dominant, you don't have to repaint to shift the energy. You can work with accessories and layout. Add a houseplant with broad green leaves. Place a textured rug in a central area. Drape a colorful fabric across a chair. Rearrange furniture to create circles rather than rows. These changes give the space rhythm, and with rhythm comes life. If you're designing a new space, consider shifting slightly away from pure white to a warmer off-white or cream. These still offer brightness and simplicity, but with a more human touch. They don't reflect light as harshly, they allow the eye to rest, and they create a space that feels welcoming rather than clinical. Ultimately, the question isn't whether white is good or bad, it's whether it serves your life. If you walk into a room and feel uplifted, peaceful, and emotionally safe, the color is supporting you. But if you walk in and feel unsure, restless, or detached, it may be time to rethink how white is functioning in your home. Color is never neutral. Every tone carries a frequency. And when that frequency fills your space, it starts to influence your thoughts, emotions, habits, and relationships. If pure white is draining your energy, dulling your creativity, or distancing you from connection, it's worth adjusting, even subtly. A mindful home isn't one that follows trends. It's one that honors your energy, your truth, and your peace. And sometimes that means choosing warmth over perfection. Sus, deep brown, overgrounding and suppressive. Deep brown is a color rooted in nature. It reminds us of the earth beneath our feet, aged wood, tree bark, and the enduring reliability of soil. It evokes stability, protection, and familiarity. In Feng Shui, it is associated with the earth element, nurturing, grounding, and supportive. When used intentionally, deep brown can foster feelings of safety, maturity, and longevity. But like all powerful forces in home design, too much of a good thing can tip the balance. Deep brown is a heavy color, both visually and energetically. It doesn't bounce light, it holds it. That means any space dominated by this tone, whether through wall color, flooring, or large furniture, will tend to feel enclosed, compressed, and darker than it truly is. For people seeking to create a warm, cocoon-like environment, this can initially be appealing. But when overused or left unbalanced by lighter elements, deep brown can trap energy, dull ambition, and lower emotional movement. In real life, this can show up in subtle but significant ways. A home with lots of brown, especially dark chocolate, espresso, or walnut tones, may look elegant and grounded, but feel stagnant over time. The heaviness of the color begins to settle into daily life. People become more resistant to change. There's a tendency to cling to comfort zones, to routines, to the known. It may feel harder to make decisions, take creative risks, or start something new. Imagine a living room with deep brown walls, dark hardwood floors, and brown leather furniture. Even with perfect proportions, that space begins to feel like it's holding its breath. Without the contrast of light, movement, or softness, the room no longer invites people to expand or express. It invites them to sit, stay, and pause indefinitely. This kind of stillness can be restful in small doses, but over time it may dull the natural flow of energy and inspiration. People living in deep brown-dominant spaces may notice they prefer staying home, avoiding new ventures, or delaying personal growth goals. This isn't necessarily because they have lost ambition. It's because the environment encourages stillness over progress. The walls, the furniture, the palette, all echo the same message: stay grounded. And while grounding is important, it must be counterbalanced with upward energy, growth, lightness, and action. In Feng Shui, earth element colors like brown are supportive in the center of the home and certain relationship zones. But when earth energy becomes too dense, especially in areas meant for career development, wealth flow, or creativity, it can slow down forward motion. People may feel like their lives are stable, but not necessarily fulfilling. Finances may be fine, but not growing. Work may be steady, but uninspired. Relationships may feel safe, but lack spark. This is particularly common in households where deep brown is used in the bedroom. While brown can feel secure and restful, too much of it can lead to emotional withdrawal. Couples may sleep well but communicate less. The emotional tone of the room may shift from intimacy to indifference, not out of conflict, but out of a slow fading of expression. For single individuals, it may lead to a preference for solitude, even when connection is needed. In workspaces, deep brown can act as a stabilizing force, but it must be handled with precision. A brown desk, for example, can create a sense of professionalism and tradition. But a room full of brown cabinetry, brown shelving, and brown walls may feel like a cave. It becomes hard to innovate in a space that subconsciously communicates permanence. Brown reinforces what is, rather than what could be. Lighting plays a crucial role in determining how brown influences a space. In rooms with ample natural light, deep brown can create warmth and structure. It makes a space feel anchored. But in rooms with low ceilings, small windows, or heavy drapes, the same brown becomes oppressive. It absorbs the little light available and creates a flat, heavy tone that mirrors emotional sluggishness. This is especially important to consider in seasonal climates. In fall and winter, when daylight hours are shorter and people already feel inclined to slow down, a dark brown environment can push that natural tendency into hibernation. Productivity drops, social interaction decreases, and self-care routines become harder to maintain. It's not a conscious resistance. It's the subtle influence of an environment telling the body to slow, to stop, to stay. Another factor to be aware of is the psychological association of brown with aging. Brown is often seen as traditional, classic, and timeless. But in excess, it can feel outdated, tired, or overly conservative. This may affect how people feel in their own homes. A young adult living in a very brown apartment might feel older than they are. A retired couple might feel less inclined to try new things. The message brown conveys, safety, endurance, familiarity, can, in the wrong setting, feel like a subtle push toward resignation rather than reinvention. That said, brown is not inherently negative. It is one of the most essential grounding colors available in design, but it is most effective when used in contrast. Just as soil gives life to trees but doesn't overshadow the sun or air, brown should serve as a foundation, not the entire story. To use deep browns successfully in a home, it's important to integrate counterbalancing elements. These can include light-colored walls, vibrant textiles, fresh greenery, and warm ambient lighting. In a brown-heavy living room, add cream or beige throw pillows. In a kitchen with brown cabinetry, consider pale stone countertops or white backsplashes. Even a light-colored area rug on a dark brown floor can shift the entire energetic feeling of a room. Textures are also important. Matte brown absorbs energy and light, while wood grain or woven materials allow the color to breathe. Avoid using flat brown surfaces in every direction. Break up the visual field with curves, patterns, and layering. Incorporate metal accents like gold or brass, which lighten the emotional load of brown and introduce a touch of liveliness. If you're designing a space from scratch and feel drawn to brown, consider using it in one or two grounding features. A large wooden table, a single accent wall, or a leather chair. Then layer in lighter, brighter, or more expressive tones around it. Think of brown as the root system of your home. It should stabilize you, not bury you. In spaces where brown is already dominant and repainting isn't an option, look to the ceiling and corners for relief. Paint the ceiling white or off-white to lift the space vertically. Add mirrors to reflect light and movement. Introduce indoor plants with upward-reaching growth to symbolically and energetically counterbalance the downward pull of brown. People who are already feeling stuck, overwhelmed, or emotionally heavy should be especially mindful of how brown is showing up in their space. Ask yourself, is this color helping me feel supported? Or is it slowing me down more than I'd like? If the answer leans toward the latter, it's time to introduce more lightness, physically and energetically. Ultimately, deep brown is a teacher of containment. It offers security, but it also asks us to examine where we may be holding on too tightly. In a home, it reminds us to ground, but not at the expense of momentum. To be rooted, but not rooted in place. It invites comfort, but it also challenges us to define whether that comfort is holding us up or holding us back. Color is never passive, it reflects our internal state and shapes our external environment. If brown is your chosen foundation, let it be a rich one, alive with contrast, softened by light, and always open to the possibility of growth. 7. Dark blue, mental fog and emotional weight. Dark blue is often celebrated for its elegance, timelessness, and its calming effect. It appears in luxury interiors, boutique hotels, and meditation spaces around the world. On first impression, it feels refined, deep, and wise, like the night sky or the depths of the ocean. But beneath that visual appeal, dark blue carries a layered energetic influence. When used in excess or in the wrong context, it can dim clarity, weigh down emotional expression, and quietly introduce a heaviness that affects how people feel in their own homes. Visually, dark blue is commanding. It anchors a space, especially when used on walls, cabinetry, or large furniture. Unlike lighter blues that feel breezy or sky-like, dark blue pulls energy inward. It encourages stillness, introspection, and thought. This can be incredibly useful in certain settings, a reading nook, a study, or a meditation corner. But when dark blue dominates a room or appears in large and interrupted areas, it begins to create an internal contraction. The eyes rest, but the energy doesn't flow. And in time, that stillness may evolve into stagnation. People often associate dark blue with calmness, but in practical living environments, it can sometimes feel more like quiet repression. It cools everything around it: light, energy, mood. While this can initially feel soothing, the cumulative effect over weeks or months may be emotional dullness, mental fatigue, or a low-grade sense of melancholy that people can't quite explain. Take, for example, a bedroom painted in deep navy. It may seem serene at first, but as the days go on, residents may find themselves oversleeping, lacking motivation, or feeling more withdrawn. Conversations might become less frequent. The room may remain perfectly neat, yet feel emotionally flat. Unlike warm colors that stimulate or invite, dark blue can, if unchecked, create a kind of energetic vacuum, an absence of spark rather than a container for peace. In home offices or creative spaces, dark blue can affect productivity in unique ways. For individuals who thrive on vision, communication, and inspiration, the density of dark blue may feel like mental fog. It doesn't provide the lift needed to think outwardly. Instead, it encourages internal contemplation, useful for journaling or deep study, but not for brainstorming, collaboration, or dynamic problem solving. If your work involves teaching, presenting, or leading others, too much dark blue around you may make your presence feel quieter than intended, your voice less assertive. The emotional tone dark blue sets can also influence relationships. While it doesn't usually provoke conflict like overactive colors might, it may contribute to a subtle sense of detachment. Couples living in blue-dominant environments sometimes report feeling distant, not due to arguments or tension, but simply a drop in emotional warmth. Shared spaces painted in dark blue can quietly become individual zones rather than connecting zones. Even mealtimes may feel more subdued, with less conversation and less shared enthusiasm. For individuals who already tend toward introversion, solitude, or introspection, a home saturated with dark blue may reinforce those tendencies to an unhealthy degree. It can become harder to reach out to others, make spontaneous decisions, or break patterns of emotional isolation. This is especially important in urban apartments or homes without access to nature. If the external world feels constrained and the internal world is colored in with darkness, the total environment becomes energetically closed in. Children and the elderly may also be more sensitive to the effects of dark blue. While it can be used to instill calm in children's bedrooms or classrooms, overuse can reduce stimulation to the point of emotional withdrawal. In older adults, the lack of energetic brightness may contribute to lethargy or disconnection from social and mental engagement. For anyone going through a period of grief, recovery, or emotional healing, the presence of dark blue, especially without warmth or light, can become emotionally heavy rather than supportive. Despite these challenges, dark blue can absolutely be used beautifully in a mindful home if it's balanced. The key lies in pairing it with light, warmth, and natural texture. Alone, dark blue is deep and heavy, but when supported, it transforms from overwhelming to grounding. Adding light yellow is one of the simplest and most effective ways to soften dark blue's impact. Yellow, associated with joy, intellect, and the sun, brings in a counterbalance that uplifts without overpowering. A light yellow throw on a navy sofa, pale yellow curtains against dark blue walls, a golden-toned wood floor beneath a navy ceiling. These combinations create a dialogue between light and dark, movement and stillness. White is another powerful companion. It doesn't just brighten blue, it defines it. When used together, white gives blue a frame. It says, "This is intentional, not accidental." A white ceiling above dark blue walls makes the room feel taller and less closed in. White molding, furniture, or shelving prevents dark blue from absorbing too much of the room's visual energy. Even white artwork or light-toned books can shift the emotional tone of a dark blue library or office. Warm lighting is essential. Cool-toned LEDs only enhance dark blue's inherent coldness, which can make rooms feel gloomy, especially after sunset. But warm white or amber tone lighting introduces comfort and intimacy. Dimmers are ideal in dark blue spaces, allowing you to shift the intensity of the room depending on time of day or activity. A softly lit dark blue bedroom can feel romantic and peaceful, while a brightly lit one may feel oppressive. Textures matter too. A smooth, glossy, dark blue wall reflects little personality, but the same color in a textured fabric, linen, velvet, woven cotton, adds tactile warmth and dimension. In upholstery, cushions, or curtains, dark blue becomes less static and more sensual. Introducing organic materials like wood, rattan, or stone nearby helps restore energetic variety. Nature breathes into blue and makes it feel more connected to life rather than apart from it. Another strategy is to limit the amount of dark blue to specific areas. Rather than painting entire rooms, use dark blue as an accent on one wall, a piece of furniture, or in decor. A navy headboard, a deep blue kitchen island, a dark blue rug beneath a lighter coffee table. These choices offer depth without dominance. For those who already have dark blue as a primary wall color and feel the space may be too heavy, There are easy ways to refresh the energy. Introduce plants. The green of leaves against blue adds vibrancy. Consider softening your palette with beige, cream, or warm gray accessories. Add mirrors to reflect light and symbolically invite openness. Rearranging furniture to open pathways also helps key the life energy to circulate more freely, lightening the room's feeling. It's also useful to consider what emotional support you're trying to receive from your space. If you've chosen dark blue because you were seeking calm or order, check in with how that's working now. Do you feel more centered or more distant from your own energy? Do you feel peaceful or muted? The same color that heals in one season of life may weigh you down in another. Dark blue asks for intention. When used with clarity, it can be majestic, contemplative, and even sacred. In temples, dark blue is often used as a backdrop to highlight gold statues or sacred murals. In meditation centers, blue mats or robes may represent discipline and devotion. But these spaces always offset the weight of blue with symbolic light, candles, chanting, spiritual imagery. They know what blue can do, and they guide it. In our homes, we must guide blue as well. It won't offer you its brightness on its own, but with the right companions, it will support you in rest, reflection, and depth. Without that support, it may simply pull you further into your own silence and keep you there longer than you intended. If your goal is to create a space where clarity, optimism, and emotional connection can flourish, use dark blue thoughtfully. Let it bring dimension, not limitation. Let it offer wisdom, not withdrawal. And always balance it with life, light, and color that reminds you growth is still happening, even in the deepest shade. Section 2. Recommended colors for abundance and harmony. 1. Light yellow. Warmth, clarity, and uplifting optimism. Light yellow is one of the most joyful and approachable colors you can bring into a home. It carries the energy of early morning sunlight, the kind that gently wakes you up and makes you feel that today might actually go well. It's cheerful but not loud. It's warm but not heavy. And in terms of Feng Shui and real-life energy, it's a powerful choice for attracting clarity, upliftment, and a lighthearted sense of abundance. What makes light yellow so supportive is how it works on both the visual and emotional level. Visually, it reflects light well without the starkness of pure white. It creates the illusion of brightness even in low-light rooms, and when paired with wood, cream, or green accents, it creates a serene and nurturing atmosphere. It makes the space feel open, breathable, and mentally stimulating, without ever being aggressive or overwhelming. In terms of mood, yellow naturally lifts energy. People often report feeling more energized and creative in rooms with soft yellow walls or accents. It's not a color that shouts, "Be productive now," but rather one that says, "You're safe, you're supported, and yes, you can handle this." From a financial energy perspective, light yellow creates conditions that support mental clarity, something essential when making decisions around money or long-term planning. It helps ease mental fog, supports logical thinking, and encourages a more hopeful outlook. Many people who paint their home offices or study corners in soft yellow tones report improved focus, better emotional resilience during setbacks, and even fewer arguments during budget conversations. If you live in a colder climate or a home that doesn't receive a lot of natural sunlight, light yellow can act as a surrogate sun. It can help balance out seasonal fatigue, boost morale during darker months, and soften the effects of low energy during transition periods in life. Whether it's post-breakup, after job loss, or during a career change, this is a color that gently holds you as you rebuild your momentum. Practically, light yellow works wonderfully in living rooms, kitchens, dining areas, and children's rooms. It encourages family interaction, emotional safety, and shared joy. For spiritual practice areas or morning rituals, it serves as a quiet energizer. Try lighting a candle in a yellow painted corner and notice the warmth it adds, not just visually, but emotionally. Stylistically, light yellow pairs well with natural textures like rattan, oak, bamboo, and linen. It loves the company of plants, soft whites, sage green, and pastel blue. In modern homes, it can be contrasted with matte black or brushed gold for elegance. In traditional homes, it pairs beautifully with hand-woven textiles and vintage decor. This is the color of new beginnings, of open windows, of peaceful mornings. If your home needs a subtle boost without overwhelming your senses, light yellow may be the simplest yet most effective shift you can make. 2. Aqua blue. Peace, mental clarity, and financial flow. Aqua blue is often described as the color of tropical waters, but its emotional effect is far more grounded and consistent than a vacation snapshot. It combines the calming effect of blue with a touch of freshness from green, making it a beautiful choice for spaces where mental clarity, emotional flow, and a sense of gentle movement are needed. This color doesn't push or pull, it flows. It mimics water in its best form: clean, smooth, adaptive, and alive. In Feng Shui terms, water is a symbol of wealth and flow. Aqua blue helps create an environment that is emotionally calm but not stagnant, visually refreshing but not cold. It creates the kind of space where you can breathe easier, think better, and soften emotional edges. People who struggle with mental overload or emotional burnout often find comfort in aqua blue. It cools the mind without shutting it down. It encourages calm thinking, open dialogue, and the feeling that it's okay to slow down, to reconsider, to wait for the right moment. It's a very patient color, and in that patience lies its abundance energy. From a practical perspective, aqua blue works well in bedrooms, bathrooms, and meditation spaces. It's especially helpful in home offices or workspaces where constant decision-making takes place. If you find yourself feeling scattered, overwhelmed, or constantly rushing, aqua blue may help recenter your focus and gently guide your thoughts into clearer waters. Financially, this color is powerful for people who want to attract steady, sustainable wealth rather than sudden highs or risky ventures. Aqua blue aligns with the idea of gradual improvement, long-term planning, and emotional balance around money. It helps curb impulsive decisions while keeping the door open for opportunity and creative solutions. Energetically, aqua blue pairs beautifully with whites, creams, light woods, and warm metallics like bronze or copper. You can also layer it with deeper blues, coral tones, or even soft greens to create a more ocean-inspired palette. Think beach house without the kitsch. Think spa without the candles. Even if you don't repaint a whole wall, small touches of aqua blue, like curtains, rugs, or artwork, can refresh the emotional tone of a room. In homes where conflict or tension has been high, adding this color is like inviting a breeze into a stuffy room. It encourages emotional flexibility, clearer conversations, and a more grounded form of joy. This is not a color that shouts abundance. It flows it. It invites wealth without grabbing. It soothes the nervous system and opens the heart. And if your life feels too tight, too loud, or too scattered, aqua blue may be the calm reset you didn't know you needed. 3. Soft brown. Grounded stability and emotional warmth. Soft brown is the warm hug of the color spectrum. It's gentle, nurturing, and deeply grounding, without ever feeling heavy or closed off. Where dark brown can sometimes feel too dense or serious, soft brown offers all the steadiness of the earth element with none of the weight. This color works beautifully in homes where emotional warmth, connection, and reliability are valued. It supports long-term relationships, grounded decisions, and practical action. It's the kind of tone that encourages you to finish what you started, to show up for what matters, and to honor your rhythms without rushing. In family homes, soft brown supports peaceful routines. It fosters mutual respect, affection, and slow mornings with tea and conversation. It also helps stabilize emotional ups and downs. If you live with kids, parents, or multiple generations under one roof, soft brown is an excellent harmonizer. It helps keep everyone steady without dulling individual expression. Financially, this is a color for builders. Not get-rich-quick energy, but slow, steady, legacy-building wealth. It encourages long-term thinking, practical investment, and emotional maturity around money. People who work in caregiving professions, education, or family businesses often find that soft brown reflects their values in a way other colors don't. Design-wise, soft brown blends beautifully with muted tones like olive green, dusty rose, ivory, and brass. It works well in flooring, furniture, textiles, and even paint when combined with proper lighting. Natural light makes this color feel cozy. Warm bulbs make it feel like home. Use soft brown in living rooms, family gathering areas, reading nooks, or dining spaces where conversation and connection matter. You can also use it as a secondary tone in bedrooms, especially when paired with creams or pastels. This is the color of trust, continuity, and belonging. If your home feels unstable or your emotions feel scattered, soft brown will offer you a quiet anchor. 4. Beige yellow, prosperity and relationship. Harmony. Beige yellow is the underdog of color palettes. It's often overlooked for being too neutral or too soft, but in reality, that's where its strength lies. Beige yellow creates warmth without drama and stability without stagnation. It's the color of golden fields, early sunlight, and quiet success. In Feng Shui and intuitive home design, beige yellow promotes harmony in relationships and a balanced approach to prosperity. It invites in wealth gently, supports ease in communication, and makes people feel welcome. Unlike bold or bright yellows that can be overstimulating, beige yellow nourishes without overwhelming. This color is ideal for homes where balance is needed. Whether it's between spouses, siblings, or work and rest, beige yellow creates a bridge. It softens edges, calms egos, and encourages cooperation. It also helps reduce the energy of conflict-prone zones, like tight hallways, overused kitchens, or living rooms that host too much screen time and not enough conversation. In workspaces, beige yellow helps with focus and patience. It's especially useful for people who feel emotionally reactive, financially uncertain, or chronically distracted. Beige yellow teaches us to breathe, to respond instead of react, and to choose sustainable abundance instead of emotional highs. Pair beige yellow with soft whites, oak wood, terracotta, or navy blue for depth. It also works well with dusty greens, camel tones, and other earth-based shades. It's extremely flexible and can lean rustic, bohemian, minimalist, or even coastal depending on the decor. Use beige yellow in rooms where decisions are made or conversations unfold. Think dining areas, family rooms, shared home offices. This is the color that smooths over friction and replaces it with flow. If you want your home to feel both successful and emotionally safe, beige yellow is your quiet but powerful ally. 5. Cream white, elements with spiritual lightness. Cream white is for light and refined. Unlike stark white, which can feel sterile or too bright, cream white holds warmth. It reflects light in a gentle way and gives any room a sense of cleanliness, peace, and spaciousness without emotional distance. This color is ideal for creating a spiritual or contemplative atmosphere. It's often used in meditation spaces, calm bedrooms, and entryways where you want to create openness and calm. It's also extremely versatile. It blends with nearly every palette and can be used as a main color or a gentle backdrop. In terms of abundance, cream white creates space, mental, emotional, and physical. It allows clarity to enter. It brings rest to busy minds and encourages moments of stillness. For people who overthink or overschedule, this color acts as a quiet counterbalance. It says, let it go, you have room. Cream white works especially well in homes that already have a mix of colors or in smaller spaces that need to feel more open. It pairs beautifully with wood, gold, green plants, warm grays, or even brighter accents like coral or turquoise. Use it in bedrooms, yoga spaces, dressing areas, or even shared bathrooms to enhance relaxation and spiritual reflection. You can also use it as a base and build your energy map around it. Cream white doesn't demand attention. It makes space for what matters most. Finally, your home is more than just a physical space. It's a quiet reflection of your inner world. Every color on your walls, every corner you arrange, every light you welcome in, all of it holds the power to shape how you feel, how you heal, and how you move forward. Choosing colors is not simply about taste or trends, it's about how you want to live. When you choose colors that support clarity, warmth, and abundance, you're telling yourself, I deserve peace, I deserve growth, I choose harmony. So before you pick up the paintbrush or rearrange your room, pause for a moment. Ask yourself gently, what energy do I truly want to invite into my life? Do I crave calm, momentum, connection, or maybe renewal? Let your answer guide your home, and your home will support your journey in return. If this video brought you insight or a shift in perspective, I warmly invite you to share it with someone you care about. Leave a comment below about your own experience with color or home energy. I'd love to read your story. And if you'd like to see more content like this, subscribe to New Day Mindfulness. With your help, every like, every share, every kind comment, I can continue creating thoughtful, grounded content and work toward reaching our first 1,000 subscribers. It means more than you know. Thank you for being here. May your space be peaceful, your colors be kind, and your journey forward be full of quiet strength.